Hello, hello. Yay, Juliet. Good to have you back again. How are you doing? Are you actually joining from Ghana? Because I see Ghana in your name. Welcome back again. Welcome back, everyone. I need to wipe my glasses. Sorry. Okay, I can see more clearly now. Oh, okay. You're from Ghana. You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome, everyone. So just keep waiting for other people to join in. And while we are waiting, just let us know where you're joining from. Where are you joining from? Were you in the session yesterday? Because yesterday was so amazing, so transformational. So many learnings. Wow, it was really amazing yesterday. And if you missed it, just catch the replay. It's worth your time. So many people stayed from beginning to the end and they didn't even realize they spent so much time. Almost 4 hours. It was really, really lovely. Where are you joining in from? Let us see. We have our speakers at the background already waiting. We'll be starting shortly. Meanwhile, feel free to share this broadcast with your contacts, with your audience. Let everyone join in and participate. Okay. Once it's for can you let us know where you're joining from? Which part of the world are you joining from? Just let us know. Which part of the world are you joining from? Where are you representing? I'm Nigerian and I'm here in the UK. So I'm representing Nigeria. Hi Esther, joining in from Abuja, Nigeria. You're welcome, Esther. Great to have you here. Okay, let's quickly start. Let me try to post this music. Hi Rita, I see you from Lagos, Nigeria. You're welcome. So to everyone joining us, welcome to the second day of the Stress Management Summit Africa. You're really welcome to this very day. Yesterday was day one and today is the second day, and I'm really, really excited to have everyone here for this event. And today is the panel session. So what's going to happen is that you're going to be seeing several people on the screen at the same time. Hi, Adeola Folabi from Lagos, Nigeria. Wow, Lagosians are representing. I see you all. So we are going to have several people on the screen at the same time who are going to take us through more understanding about the mental well-being of our children. And we know that at the end of this, the goal is to raise mentally resilient children, and children that we have great relationship with, children that will grow into responsible adults without childhood traumas, children that will live out their purposes, and they will be proud of themselves, and we will also be proud of them. Who am I? I'm Ezinwugo Lewis, and I'm the convener of the Stress Management Summit Africa. So this is the fourth year. The Stress Management Summit Africa is an annual event that started in 2020 at the peak of COVID. And like I told those that joined yesterday, the idea was vetted during COVID when I was out of work. I wasn't practicing at that time. I'm a medical doctor and I'm working here in the UK in the emergency department. So at that time in 2020, I was out of work and I was thinking of how to support my colleagues who were in the front line fighting COVID. And I was like, what do I do? So the idea of the summit came. And once it came, I relayed it to my mentor, who quickly made me start planning a summit in 3 weeks. And interestingly, it was a success. And since then, we've been hosting this event every year in the month of April. I'm a stress management coach. I am certified. So I help people manage their stress. So hosting a stress management summit is not a strange thing for me, right? And again, I'm also the founder of Thriving Olive Tribe. Is a tribe of thriving professionals who come together and share ideas on how to thrive, even being professionals in different spheres. So today we are having we have the panelists already in the background waiting to show up. I can't wait. I see you, Grace, joining from Maiduguri, Borno State. Wow. Hi, Grace. Birungi, Sarah, live from Uganda. Hello. Nalunga, I see you. Emotional healing coach from Uganda. Hello, Ugandans. You're welcome. Hello, hello. So let's quickly get started. I'm going to bring everyone on board at the moment. It's going to be really exciting, really engaging, really conversational, and really transformative. So please share this broadcast with everyone, with your audiences, with your contacts. Let people show up and learn. I'm going to be bringing them on now. I think I should be introducing them as I bring them on. So the first person on the screen is, yay, Abies. Abies.
Hi.
Hello, Abies Sonia. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And you?
I'm okay. Good to have you on board. So
Same
let,
here.
let me tell you guys about Abies. Abies is a very brilliant lady, in case you guys don't know. So Abies is an integrative life coach, practitioner of emotional freedom technique with matrix ring prints, and practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, and a UK qualified teacher. Abies Sonia impacts the lives of people positively through transformational coaching, one-to-one or group mentoring, and informative speaking and storytelling. Abies Sonia is an entrepreneur, mental health advocate, burnout prevention and recovery advocate, and has impacted the lives of more than 400 women through live and online program conferences. She is a lifelong learner who hold masters in teaching and learning, and currently on masters in positive psychology and counseling. She enjoys spending time with her family. She's a physical fitness enthusiast, lover of nature, and enjoys baking. Hi, Elvis.
Hmm.
Like, wow. We needed to end that with wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're much
I'm
welcome
really
to the.
excited to be here today. I'm elated, so I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to get started. I've been telling my
Yeah.
children this time, 4 o'clock, mommy is going to be busy, so that I don't get disturbed.
They need to
And
know.
yesterday was. yesterday was just phenomenal. It was a great foundation for
I
us to
agree.
build on today. So thank you for organizing it, Isn't it? Yes, thank
And
you.
thank you too, Abies. Thank you too. So I'm going to be bringing on board the co-host of this summit. You guys met her yesterday, and we are the talkatives of the summit, and we are back again today. Umi,
Hi everyone.
hi
Hi
Umi, how are you?
Abby. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, same here, Wumi. Lovely to meet you too.
Same here. Same here. Hi Izine.
Hi. Do you still need introduction again? We met
No,
yesterday.
no, no. I beg.
She said, I beg. So the
No.
next person we have on the panel session is a beautiful lady. When you see her, you'll agree with me. I'm bringing her on right now. Hi, Anthonia.
Look at you.
Can you unmute yourself? Okay. See if you can. Okay. She needs to reconnect again. Okay. We can just continue to the next person, and that is this powerhouse. I call her powerhouse because if you have her in your corner, everything is sorted. Dr. Uzoamaka Ezenwugo. Let me tell you guys about her before she tells us the hello, 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 and Dr. Uzoamaka is from, and in fact, let me just read everything. Yeah, from Anambra State, Southeast Nigeria. She's a public health physician with special interest in health education, health promotion, and mental health. She's passionate about making an impact wherever she finds herself and giving back to her society. Dr. Uzo has been a backbone in the promotion of this summit. Like, it's been really, really amazing. You're very much welcome, Dr. Uzo.
Thank you. Hi, Zinne. Hi, Wumi. Hi, Abies Sonia. Hi, everyone.
It's a pleasure. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. And yesterday was so amazing, and I can't wait for today. Really.
Same here. Same here. So we have another beautiful lady that is coming on board. Can't wait to hear her voice. There you go. Tomiisin with double
Hi.
I.
Hi, everyone. It's good
Hi.
to be here.
Hi, Tomiisin. Let me tell you guys about this wonderful lady with us here. Tomiisin is a disciple of Jesus, an encourager, and a voice of hope to her world. She is called the Joy Merchant because her life revolves around helping women find joy again, heal from traumatic experiences so they can live joyful lives and pursue their God given purposes, their God given dreams. She's the author of Purposeful Pain, a masterpiece of hope, a source of divine strength, and teaching tools to rise in the midst of pain, find healing, purpose, intimacy with God using her own personal pain story. She launched Project Hope as a mission to reach out to women dealing with pain and help them find joy and hope again in God by giving them a free copy of the Purposeful Pain book as well as Joy Pills, a workbook that takes you on a 21-day journey to joy and wholeness. I'm really intrigued at the titles of your projects.
Thank you.
She is the convener of the Healing Hangout, where she reaches out to women dealing with loss, pain, hurts, or going through dark seasons. She's also the founder of Scripture Lovers Network, where she raises men and women to live their lives in God. A project manager by profession, Tomiisin is a Prince 2 certified and holds a first-class degree in agricultural economics. She is joyfully married and blessed with kids. Hi, Tomiisin with double I. You're welcome.
Hello, Dr. Izine. Thank you for having me. Hi, Wumi. Hi, Habis. Hi, Dr. Uzoamaka. Hi, everyone. It's good to
Hi.
be here.
So we have people that have joined so far. Queen B, Abies, I think your fans are here. Chukujama Ejofo joining from UK. Juliet, hello, hello. So let's quickly get started. We still have two more panelists that should join us. I think they will be joining us shortly. Okay, so it's going to be conversational, questions and then answers. You respond using your personal stories. Oh, sorry, there's someone else in the background. Oh, Anthonia, sorry. I have to bring her on board right now. Welcome back. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I hope you guys can hear me. Can everyone hear me?
Finally. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Apologies for that. Thank you all so much. It's a pleasure being here, and it's so good to meet every other person on the panel.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, Anthonia. I don't know. Someone's background is a bit noisy. Okay. Let's try this. Yeah. Anthonia, sorry I had to mute you for a while. I will mute you when it's your turn to talk. Your background was a bit noisy, or your network or something. I don't know. So about Anthonia Nkwontah, she's the mother of one and also the founder and creative director of Touch Enterprise. She loves to hang out with her family and also make stunning bags and accessories with African print. So far, she's in the process of understanding how to handle being a wife, mom, and a business owner. She believes ice cream and chocolate are powerful distressors. Anthonia, you have questions to answer here.
Okay, I hope it's much better now. Sorry, I think there was something going on in the background.
Okay, yeah, I think it's much better. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
You're much welcome. All right. So
I want to make a quick joke. So I think everyone here is wearing black except Tomiisin.
Oh wow! Imagine.
Oh my goodness, that's so weird.
I hope you won't join us.
Wow. So team glasses. Okay. All right. So let's quickly get started with the first question. Okay. There's still a little bit noise in the background, so I'll just mute you shortly, Anthonia. Whenever you have anything to say, I will unmute you. Okay. Don't worry. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the first question we have right now is just about the theme. Okay. Before we go into whatever we have, we need to understand what exactly is the mental well-being of your child. All right. And what we expect of you is feel free to go in any direction you want. You can use personal stories to explain. Okay. You can use professional experiences. Just anything relatable so that we all will just live transformed and ready to implement whatever it is we are learning from this discussion. All right. So I'm going to start with the first person on the screen right now, Abies. Tell us, what does mental well-being of your child mean to you?
Okay, right. So the mental well-being of your child include how your child thinks, how they feel, right? So we have, if your child is stable, they are able to express themselves in a safe way. They are able to be themselves authentically without pretending to you. A lot of times, our children pretend to us because of the way parents react. A lot of African parents are very reactive. We hardly respond. We are so reactive. So your child's mental well-being is how they think, how they feel, and how they are able to show themselves in authentic way without getting judged. To me, that is what my child mental well-being is. So if I'm looking at my child, why is her face like that? Why is she presenting things to me like that? I'm trying to see their behavior. I'm trying to see the way they act, how it corresponds in a way, in a healthy way that will make them flourish in everything that they are doing. Because if your child is not acting right, if your child is not behaving right, it will affect a lot of things: their relationship with you, the way they present themselves in school, and even the way they will progress. So their mental well-being affects a lot of things, their relationship and the people they hang around with. So it is quite deep. But I'm just going to stop here to give other people room to speak.
Okay. Tomiisin, you can carry on.
Yeah, thank you, Habis. That was fantastic. Yeah, so my child's mental well-being is, just like Abby's has said, is the way my child feels and the way my child functions. Our feeling and functioning. The mental well-being is like the most important part of the well-being of a child, because that's how the child feels and also affects how the child functions. So how my child feels is very important, so that it can affect how he functions. So his mental well-being is the way that he relates with himself and also with me. Just like Abis has said, his relationship is psychological relationship, his social relationship, everything that encompasses the wholeness of my child. That is the mental well-being. Everything stems from being physically and emotionally, mentally, psychologically, socially sound. That is the well-being of a child. When the child is physically sound, socially sound, mentally sound, emotionally sound, that's when you can say that the child is in a state of mental well-being. And this this summit is just so important. Like when my sister Wumi told me about the summit, I was so excited, because the theme of this summit, stress management, is very important. And I also like the fact that it speaks to children. So many times we don't pay attention to children, and the fact that this summit is actually focused on children is so important. And I'm just going to stop here, so I won't over over I won't go beyond what we're talking about. So a child's mental well-being, my child's mental well-being is how my child feels and how my child functions. Thank you.
Okay. So, Anthonia, what does the mental well-being of a child mean to you as Anthonia?
Okay.
I
Unmute
think
yourself.
muted.
You're muted. Antonia, you're still
Okay.
muted.
Am I still muted?
No, it's
Now we
fine
can
now.
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So, my child's well-being, in my own case, or mental well-being, is how she reacts and how she copes to the circumstances around her, how she copes with stress, how she relates with other people. Now, she's almost 2, so she's in crèche. So basically, to me, is okay how she relates with other kids that are around her, because mostly before she started crèche, she was mostly around adults, and obviously the way she would act around adults was quite different from the way she started acting when she started going to school. So I had to start taking little things like that into consideration. So how she copes when she's stressed, how to know, okay, she's stressed, she's tired. So I had to take things like that into consideration and know how to handle it. So I think that covers the mental well-being of my child, how she copes with things around her and how she handles it.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, what everybody is trying to say is that it's like at the base of how a child functions. So if a child is not mentally well, it will affect their entire function, their entire being. So it's just like at the base. So it seems
Yes.
all of us just have like a great understanding of what the child's mental well-being is, and I believe that the audience also gets that understanding. And for those that are listening, if you have any questions, please be asking it. It's not like yesterday where you have to wait for the speakers to finish. So if you have any question, ask now. Okay, if you have any question for someone specifically, please go ahead and ask. In the meantime, the last panelist for today has showed up. And that is Chinga joining us from Zimbabwe. Can you unmute yourself, please? Yeah, I see you. All right.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
Hi,
Hi,
Chinga.
Chinga. All the way
Welcome.
from Zimbabwe.
Hello,
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Chinga.
You're welcome.
So,
Thank
Chinga,
you.
Chinga is a child protection advocate who is passionate about child rights and justice for children. She has worked in the child rights and protection sector for over 20 years, specializing in advocacy, legal education, empowerment of communities to better, sorry, to better manage violence against children. She has worked on the bar and on the bench and civil society sectors. Sorry. Her work has also seen her collaborating with NGOs and community based initiatives. Her advocacy efforts are targeted at decision makers and duty bearers from community to regional levels. She has also been involved in strengthening community based interventions aimed at promoting positive norms for prevention of violence against children and support for child survivors of violence. She is the convener of Help Her Heal, a virtual rapid response platform to mitigate gender against GBV. I believe that's gender-based violence, and provide a coordinated approach to manage gender-based violence. Yeah. She's the founding and coordinating trustee of Legal Support and Research Initiative and the founding trustee of Girls Empowerment Trust. This is like wow. And while I was reading Chinga's um, by her profile, something came to mind, and this is something that happened when, that was I think a month or 2 months ago in the emergency department where I work here in the UK. So there is this child that came in. Okay, this child is about 5 months or thereabout that came in, and I saw this child. They told me that the child had pain in the legs, that the child woke up crying due to pain in the legs, and I was like, okay, what could have happened? And it wasn't clear what exactly could be going on in a child that is 5 months crying and having pain in the legs. That's based on the mom. We had to get an X-ray of that leg, and from the X-ray, we realized that the bone is actually broken. Okay, so it hurt me terribly, and it triggered the red flag, and that red flag was what would make the bone of a 5 months old child be broken, you know. So we started asking questions and realized that the story wasn't consistent. That means there was actually more to the story. The parents had questions to answer, and this is where social services come in. Child protection, like what Chinga does, comes in. You know, when you hear stories of the cruelty of certain people towards children, you shed tears. You know that some people are just wicked. Some people do these things actually from poorly managed stress, which is one of the reasons this summit is really important. So, Chinga, I'm going to start with you by asking you this next question, okay? How do you recognize a struggling child? Maybe from your experiences in the child protection sphere, you know, how will you be able to recognize this one is suspicious, what's going on right now? How do you recognize a struggling child?
So sad, as in what happens to children mostly, especially when parents are fighting. And sometimes it's not so easy to pick up what's happening in the background. So it was fortunate that you could see physically that something was wrong, but there's also the mental trauma, the emotional trauma that you cannot easily identify and recognize, where this child has gone through so much and they are withdrawn, or they just like you said, crying all the time, or they won't open up. And in such instances, we actually, as child rights practitioners, we struggle, especially where they've been abused physically and sexually, to get to the heart of the issue. And sometimes children won't even open up, or will only open up when we create an environment where they can then tell us what has happened. And one of the ways for them to open up is to remove them from parental care, which is very sad because when a child is in that setup, in a family setup, we say that's their first point in terms of making sure they are well socialized. So sometimes you're forced to have them removed from family care so that they are in an alternative care setup, and it's for their mental well-being, for their physical well-being, and it would also be in their best interest. So it is true that parents sometimes at the end of the rope, they don't know how to react. They don't know what to do when their child has been abused, or where they know that, or where they don't know that they have to be there for their child. That their own emotional and mental and spiritual well-being is good for their child. So it's a battle. And we still have a long way to go for parents to own up to say, look, I have a problem. I'm maybe an alcoholic now. I may be an abuser now, but I want what's best for my child and I need help. I don't know how to go about it. So it's something that we need to encourage parents out there, that it's okay to be in certain situations, but you need to seek help for yourself for the benefit of your child.
Thank you so much for that. So basically what you do in your job is mainly to, as in not necessarily to take the child from their parents, but basically to support the parents in caring for the
Yes.
children.
In most cases, sometimes it's necessary that you move the child from the family setup for their well-being, but this is in most cases temporary. So, for instance, you may seek a protection order against a parent, or another parent may seek a protection order against the other parent. Based on maybe the parent has had mental challenges or alcoholic issues, but this is in most cases temporary, or the child has to be moved to another institution or alternative care until everything is sorted out. So I just want to encourage, I've read about parents who lose custody of their children, that it's sometimes very temporary. All you need to do is put your house in order, and the authorities will return the child to you when all is well. We are mindful of the socio-economic challenges that most parents face, especially where we are in a world that's economically going the other direction. And sometimes it's okay to just say, to own up and to say, I'm unable to provide the best for my child, and I need what's best for my child, and to have the state in most cases take over custody of your child until things settle, rather than just keeping your things to yourself and you are struggling. At the end of the day, you at the drop of a hat, you lose it. And sometimes the child bears the brunt of your instability, not because you're a bad parent, but because the environment you are in, which may be really temporary, is not conducive for you to provide what's best for your child.
Wow. And yeah, carry on.
I think you are really speaking my language
Hi.
here. Like I'm really relating to everything you're saying, and I'm like, wow. So I've
Yes.
had cases where I've had to work one-on-one with kids, and the
Yes.
parents, come to me and say, "Oh, my child is this, my child is that," and the first thing I say to them is, "I cannot work with
Yes.
your child while you are in there." You see,
Yes. Yes.
you cannot be there while I'm working with your child. If I'm
Yeah.
working with your
Yeah.
child in a closed place, probably be somewhere. If I'm working with your child in an open space, like be like
Yes.
few meters away. Because if you're there,
Yes.
your child will not be able to open up to me to be enabled you for me to help that child. So
Yes.
like I really could relate to what you were saying, that
Yes.
sometimes kids have to be pulled away from the parents. Another thing
Yes.
that you said to that really like rang a bell to me was when you said the social economic situations that parents find themselves. You see, in my work and in the events that where I've worked with families and kids, I've realized that no one actually set out to be a bad parent. You see,
No,
no one.
you're right.
Even
Mm,
the ones that you don't plan, even the kids that come and you do not plan,
yes,
no one actually set out to be bad parent. And it's one of the reasons why my work has taken me to different fields and sectors. We have been able to actually understand what is actually going on. You see a family and you're wondering, how did the parent get to this point? An alcoholic father or an alcoholic mother, there was something there that is making the father or the mother,
yes.
be that
Mm,
person.
mm,
And then I
mm,
started to realize that sometimes social economic situations sometimes do
yes.
not help.
Yeah,
Just
it's,
before this summit, I was telling my husband, I said, I'm getting stressed out with the increase of food here. Like, it's
no,
just
it's so
crazy.
sad.
Like, the inflation prices just keep increasing. And
Absolutely.
it's a struggle. And just like Izine was saying, like sometimes some parents do not know how to manage the stress. And that's why the stress summit plus the child mental well-being
It's
is
definitely,
so interconnected because
yes.
um
Yeah.
a lot of parents actually struggle at the back. I started growing my food. I started a farm
Mm,
in the house. It's so funny because I'm like, I cannot deal. I
I
cannot
know. Eh?
deal with the way food is increasing. Like you go to the supermarket, like you go to the mall, and then you buy something for 20 rand, and before you know it, it's 30. Before you know it, it's 40 rand. You see, and that's even somehow some of us have, you're still able to buy it. But a lot of people cannot buy that. Lots of people cannot even I don't know how it works. I live in Cape Town, South Africa, and every year
Yeah.
school fees get increased.
Yeah.
Every year the school fees prices increases. So there's just a lot of pressure for parents out there. So I think my
Yes.
question that I want to throw to the panel, so I'm not talking, is the fact that how do you deal with some of the social economic situations that we find ourselves, like
Mm,
personally, how do you deal with the so much things that the things that are going on? Because the first thing I said to Azine was when we decided to collaborate on this topic is there is no mental well-being of a child without the mental well-being of a parent.
of the
It's just
parent,
Absolutely.
definitely.
it's so
Mm,
impossible. You cannot
definitely.
take care of your child's mental well-being if you are not stable yourself. So
Mm,
the first thing I want to like, how do you deal with social
yes.
economic situations, the
Yeah.
craziness that happens in the world? How do you deal? Like I just throwing it open to everyone. How do you deal?
Mm, mm.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
different
Yes.
ways you can deal with it. Like I was having this discussion with a friend this afternoon before the summit. I always tell people you have to sew your coat according to your material. Sometimes it's not according to the design that you want to sew. So I will explain that metaphor. So we know that there's inflation. However, the wages are not going up the way it should be. If
No.
you decide to pick a second job, what that means you are accumulating more stress to yourself because
Yes.
that will increase your commitment and your demand of your energy to dedicate to that job. So even a lot of people might say, okay, take another job and then you increase your earning. Yes, you increase your earning, but you're going to increase your stress level as well. So it's about knowing where you are financially. Where are you at financially and what can you really be able to afford? You cannot do things based on what other people are doing. The social media pressure right now, where people are opening brand new cars and all of that stuff, and then people are like, I need to meet up. You can no longer do that. You need to be authentic with yourself, you need to be authentic with your family. What is your financial situation? And then once you know your financial situation, what are the things that I must have that are compulsory to have? So we're talking about the school fees, we're talking about the food, the Maslow hierarchy of need. We are talking of those things. So you need to find a way you are going to fit in. You said you've already started your own farming in your backyard. That is something someone could consider. You must have taken a stock of your finances and think, okay, what can I plant and what can I actually buy? So people can actually do that as well. So what are the things that are a luxury that you cannot really genuinely afford right now? So you need to do something about that. Be real to yourself. Speak to your children. I speak to my children. There are certain things I will tell them, okay, we cannot do this activity now because of X, Y, and Z. However, when things get better, then we'll be able to build it up. You have to be sincere with your children. Let them know. There are lots of people that are bringing up their children to become entitled. So when they are entitled, they are used to a certain way of life. What that means, it is putting a lot of pressure on the parent to meet up with the child's need. You are the one that expose your child to that level of life. You are the one that should educate them and let them know that right now we are going to have to cut some things. We are going to have to make some adjustment. And then when you make that adjustment, then you need to also work on yourself. Do you need to upskill? Do you need to reskill? If you need to reskill, go and reskill. Reskilling is, do you need to change your job and move to a job that is more lucrative, that will pay you more? If you have to do that, once you have make that you've already made that changes in terms of what you're spending on, spend on your basic need and incorporate what you can really afford in terms of leisure. And all of this is sometimes you don't even need to go out to for a meal. If I make you a Chinese meal, you would think maybe I lived in China for years. I did not live in China. I love to experiment with food. I love the places I know the places I love to go. So I get some recipe book and I learn as well. So if I cannot go there, I can make some at home, right? And you realize that you spend less. So once you've already reduced your budget, you've base it around the basic necessity. If you need to reskill, go and look for a more lucrative job or find a way to get a passive income, then you can do that. Another way you can do, if you have to reskill. Now, or upskill. So maybe you are a teaching assistant and you decide to become a teacher. Then maybe you need to go back to school. Or maybe you are good at certain things that you're giving to people free. You know how to make certain things. Instead of giving it to people free, find a way to commercialize what you know. There are some knowledge that you know, there are some skills that you are good at that you can commercialize. Find a way to do that. What that means, you have extra income coming into the family at ease because it is something that you like. So I'm going to stop here and I'll recap again. Upskill, reskill, live within your budgets. Learn how to create passive income as well. There are a lot of knowledge that you have in your head that you can commercialize. Find a way to do that. I will just yield my mic
Thank
now.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for that, Abis. That is so detailed. Sorry, that is so detailed,
Okay.
and
Yes.
So,
it's what.
yeah, if I
So let's,
can I add a little something to what Abby
yeah.
said?
Yes, of course, of course. Sorry, Dr. Uzoamaka. Sorry, I wanted to say something to Abies. There was
Okay.
something that I would like to like I would like us to like discuss again, but I actually wanted Dr. Uzoamaka to talk. There was something you said, and I was like, not all situations apply like that. But I also want Dr. Uzoamaka to, yeah. So you can
Okay,
speak.
so just like we were discussing, how do parents recognize these socioeconomic problems and how it affects them to be able to know how it affects their children. Like we were saying, you can't recognize a struggling child if you as a parent has not or is not able to recognize that I am struggling. I mean, you can't say I'm trying to help somebody and meanwhile you don't know what your problem is. That I think that's the background of what I want to say. So for you to be able to recognize that your child is struggling, you need to also know that I as a mom or I as a dad or I as a caregiver is also struggling in XYZ aspect of my life. You know, when we Abis has just talked about the economic, and I think she focused more on the economic aspect of this. We also struggle in other aspects like our social life. I mean, for someone that maybe is used to going out or hanging out, and then maybe a situation occurs in your life, maybe a temporary situation occurs in your life where you are you don't look at those things, or the frequency at which you do those things have reduced, and you find yourself more at home or more, you know,
trying to meet up with a task, maybe at your workplace or something that makes you now reduce, those other aspects of your life. And this is stressing you out, but you've not recognized that this is actually stressing me out. And there's no way I can say, okay, my child brings up one or two ideas, and I'm like, okay, wow. Okay, the reason why I'm acting this way, or the reason why I feel this way, or I've started feeling this way recently, is because of this that's happened in my life, or something that has happened, in a situation that has occurred. Okay, so when we're able to recognize that aspect, we'll now say, okay, fine. Now that I've found, the first step of solving a problem is recognizing that there's a problem. Now that I've been able to understand that this is what the root cause is, okay, how do I solve it? Or how do I manage? How do I, take care of it in such a way that it doesn't now affect, the way I handle my children. Okay, so and another thing is this based on, I'm talking about still social life now, or maybe social engagement or something. Maybe you just got married, or you just gave birth, or you just got into a new environment and things like that, and you're struggling to adapt, or you're struggling to get used to the situation. And there's something I usually do that I think that parents and caregivers might also learn, or might also pick one or two things from there. When things happen, or when you have tasks to do, or when you have so many things, engagements, find a way to prioritize, or find a way to put a like a I don't know how to put it now. Yes, scale of preference, more like, what are the things that require me to do it? Like, I must be the one to carry out this task. What are those things? Write them down on one side. Now, second aspect, what are those things that require that I may be there, somebody else may be there. Things you must not be there. You delegate those things, at that point in time. So it doesn't, all these things are geared towards reducing that struggle that you have as a parent, or struggle that you have as a caregiver. And then what are those things that at this point in time, well, if I don't do it, nothing will happen. You keep those things at the far back and say, okay, fine, these ones are the things that are not so important right now. I can do them. The ones I can delegate. The ones that require that I must do, then these are the ones that I put in that category where I must do them. And then I find a way to share the time. Because in that way, you find out that most of the times when we are stressed, it's about the way we categorize this aspect of our lives, categorize the engagements that we have. And I must attend the wedding. There's a wedding that is coming up. My cousin is wedding. Must I be there? That's the first question. Do I is in Abuja, or is in South Africa? Do I have am I supposed, if I don't go, what will happen? You understand? Considering the fact that there's a current situation in my family, or there's a current situation at my workplace that may not, that may affect my decision. So you sit down and decide and take a decision and say, okay, this is what I have to do at this point. So in that way, like Abies was trying to say, communicating with your children. Okay, this is what is disturbing daddy right now. Daddy has an exam to write right now, and that's the reason why he can't take you to the football match, or that is the reason why he can't go with you to the to your classmates party or something like that. So by the time you tell them, this is what I'm passing through, this is what the reason why I can't do this thing, they also will understand. Yeah, understand you, because you're the parent, you're the mom, you're the dad, they live with you every day, so they already know. But when you don't communicate with them, or when you've not realized that there's a problem, there's something you're struggling with, you can't even communicate with them, you can't even tell them. And in that way, everybody's stressed. You're stressed, the child is stressed. Mommy is not taking me to this, mommy is not doing this for me. But he or she doesn't know the reason why mommy is not doing it, because you've not told him, or because you've not realized that it's even a struggle for you, even before you even convey that that thing to the child to be able to understand. So it requires us to understand our own struggles, basically, to be able to, get to how it affects the child, because definitely it's going to affect the child, since it's your child and you're living with the child.
Thank you
So
so much.
I would like to stop here for now.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Tomiisin.
Okay, so I just want to layer on some of the things that have been said. So for me it will be the first thing is anchoring yourself. The world will always be going crazy. Like there will always be something socio-economical issues happening, different things happening, but I always like to talk about anchoring yourself in something that is deeper than everything that is going on. For many of us is God, for some people is different other things, and we are talking about mental well-being. So your mind is powerful. It's your mind that controls virtually everything that is going on. So there must be that anchor that still keeps you grounded, irrespective of what is going on in the world, irrespective of what is going on around you. So always anchoring yourself, like if you're a believer, for example, if God is who anchors you, even when everything is going crazy, you can still go back and find that peace and find that joy, and it can trickle down to every other areas of your life. And I like what Wumi said initially when she talked about how you know our lives as parents also affect our children's lives. Like you can't talk about the mental well-being of your children without talking about your mental well-being as well. So, and children, they always say that children learn, they don't do what you say they should do, they do what you do. They learn by example. So everything that you do is what generally trickles down to the lives of your children. So when you are sound in your mind for yourself, then everything would just trickle down to your parents, to your children. So the first thing, anchoring yourself. Another thing is awareness, which some of these people have talked about. Being aware, like you don't even you can't even talk about fixing a problem when you're not aware of what is going on. So every day, like some parents just find out that, and it's not even some parents, it happens to the best of us, that like you just find out that you are behaving in a way, and you've not come to catch yourself to say, oh, why did this happen, or why am I behaving this way? So living in awareness of the issues that you're going through, the problems in the world, the things that are happening around you. So being aware so that you can also find that solution. And the third thing I would like to speak to is intentionality, and which some of these people have talked about. So being intentional about the things to do. Like Wumi talked about um starting a farm. So another thing is looking for substitute products. For example, I always say that you can survive anywhere. You can always survive anywhere. It's just trying to find the balance between what the life that you are living before and the life that you want to live now. So there's always a substitute to everything that you want. So someone is living in Lekki, another person is living in you know Abule Egba, for example. They can have a good life for themselves, depending on how they choose to live their lives. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. There will
Yeah.
always be substitutes for whatever kind of life that you want to live. And just like Abby has said, coming back to the drawing board and saying, okay, this is the life that we've been living before. We want to be able to maintain this life. What are the things that we need to do? What are the things that we need to cut? So generally, just anchoring yourself, being aware, and also the intentionality to do what needs to be done for the mental well-being of yourself and for your child. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for all of those, Tomiisin, Uzoamaka, Abies, Wumi. Thank you so much. You guys have really, like, we're talking about recognizing a struggling child, and then we had to really understand first how to support a struggling
Oh,
parent,
mm.
which is really important in this conversation before we can even help a child. So let me still draw us back a little bit on how to recognize a struggling child. Okay, so anyone can just take us on this, how to recognize a struggling child. Like, how do you know? Because it's very important for us to recognize a child that is tilting towards that path of depression anxiety, struggling with traumas and all of that. It's very, if we can figure this out as quickly as possible, we are able to save that child from going towards that path that will make them struggle as adults. So now let's talk about how do we recognize a struggling child. Anyone is free
Yeah,
to
for me it will be
Speak. Okay, I'm just going to let Tomiisin speak. No,
that's all.
Tomiisin is okay. All right.
okay, that's fine. Thank you. So for me it will be first understanding your child before
Mm.
you even talk about um noticing if your child is struggling or not. You need to be able to know your child. Like, if it's not something that will just come at you, you can't even recognize a struggling child if you don't know that child. So the first level is actually communicating with your child on a day-to-day basis, before you even recognize what is going on with that child. So when you have that kind of relationship with your child, you're always communicating with your child. You know when this child is, if for example, my child is a very, you know talkative child, always talking, is always talking, and sometimes I'm having a headache and I'm like, what is going on? So if for example I notice that he's now quiet, that's like something that is off, because I know him, I know that he's talkative, I know that, and he's also a very emotionally aware person. He always wants to talk to you about what's going on with him. He's very, his teacher says that he has a big heart, so he always wants to say what is going on with him every time. When you ask him what happened in school today, he wants to tell you in detail what's going on. So when that child starts to withdraw, then you know that something is going on. You know that this child is probably struggling in one area or the other. So the first thing is knowing your child, and I think that's the first level in understanding if the child is struggling or not. Thank you.
Okay, so
I
for us to be able to recognize whether our child is struggling, just like Tomisin said, we need to know the child. Knowing the child, we talked about how mental well-being is the way the child thinks, the way the child feels, the way the child acts, and all these things will ultimately affect the way they handle stress, the way they relate to others, the way they relate to even the parents. Okay, so in all these things now, and somebody, and maybe your child, and maybe you have one or two or three or four or five children, all of them will act differently. They are all different human beings, so all of them will act differently. All of them have their individual strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so these are the things you now look at and say, okay, what's happening with this child now? Or maybe let me give you an example. Let me just give you an example of something that just happened recently with my child. I noticed that he there's this thing about when he's anxious, he starts some funny body movements. I don't know how to put it. Okay, so I recognize the fact that it happens when he's anxious. Okay, and something happened recently, and I asked him, why are you, when I was asking you a question, dances and everything. I wanted to hear from him. I wanted him to for us to have that conversation. Okay, so let me be sure whether he even knows, whether, let me know the level where he is, what he will tell me, and then I'll now go from there, because you can't advise or educate somebody. You go from the known to the unknown, so you have to start from what the person knows to what the person doesn't know. Okay, so I'm not like, okay, so why is it that when you're asked a question, when that time I asked you a question, you were now doing all those funny dances and scratching yourself? He was like, I don't know. I said, try and think. And I said, okay, that maybe they were scratching me. I said, no, you were not scratching your body when you're watching cartoon. So now that I asked you a question about your homework, you're scratching your body. He now looked at me and said, I was a little bit nervous, and that I'm like, yes, that's it. I know that you're nervous, so that's what I'm asking you. I wanted you to tell me that that's what's happening to you. I mean, that's the way we understand how our children feel, and then you now go like, okay, fine. Do you know that you can handle this thing? Do you know how to handle this? And then that discussion continued that way. Okay. So some other children might present with uh withdrawal. For Tomiisin said somebody that is talkative and the person suddenly starts withdrawing. And then for you as a parent, or for us as parents, including me, we struggle with paying attention to our
Yeah,
kids.
that's
Okay.
true.
So, and it's when we pay attention, we'll be able to detect at what point in time did the behavior of this child change.
Change.
Because I mean, picking it early and picking it late makes a whole lot of difference. I mean,
Mhm.
they're just at two extremes. Okay. So, okay, now something happened and your child starts withdrawing. And you as a parent, because you are attentive, you're able to pinpoint at a particular point in time, like, bam, okay, good. I recognize that this thing happened, this thing started like 3 days ago or 1 week ago when he went to visit so and so and so. Or it it happened a month ago when he changed his school from his former school to the new school.
Hmm.
Okay? And you're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Sit down, let's talk. Some children will talk to you, some children might not talk to you. But for you to have recognized the fact that it happened at a particular time frame is a start to solving the problem, is a start to recognizing what exactly is the child struggling over. It may be that in that new school now, somebody bullies him or her, or she doesn't like the teacher, or something, or it might not necessarily have anything to do with the new school. Maybe the child is still missing his former friends in the old school. You understand? And this is what is, worrying the child. He doesn't know what to do about it. He doesn't know how to handle that emotions, handle all those things that he's feeling. It's now for us as parents to sit down and say, okay, I've recognized what your problem is. You're missing your old school, you're missing your old friends and family and teachers and everything. So sit down, let's talk about it and see what 1, 2, 3, 4 things you can do for you to move on, because we have moved from that place to this place. We cannot go back to that place. I mean, we need to have those discussions, except apart from saying that we have moved though, there's nothing you can do about it. Sorry, you have to get used to it, and that's it. You have not helped the child in any way. So trying to show that empathy, that I understand how you feel. There's a time when I was 9, we also moved from Enugu to somewhere else, or to Imo State, and I had to lose all my friends, I had to lose all my teachers, and I had to start afresh. So I felt what you're feeling, I know what you're feeling, I know how it feels to lose your old friends and all that. So the child is relating to with you in that way. So whatever and any other thing that the child might struggle with, he will now be like, okay, mommy said she has had such experience in the past. Maybe, or daddy said, when I was small, something like this happened to me. I can now quickly go to mommy or daddy to discuss with them, or have them tell me how to manage the situation, because
Thank you.
you can relate with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that insight, Uzoamaka. Thank you so much for that. We'll be moving on from this question. In addition to how to recognize a struggling child, there are other things I would also like to add. You can have a toddler that is now throwing more tantrums than usual. You need to figure out what's going on here. This is not the child I know. Who is this child? And then again, they are becoming more moody, excessively crying. I'll give you an instance. When we moved here, when I started work in a different hospital, we needed childcare. We needed someone to assist us with childcare. So we paid someone, and my daughter was going there for childcare. Yeah. So in the process, I noticed that her behavior was changing. And what was going on is that she was crying more than usual, getting more irritable than usual. This is a happy child. But then this behavioral change is not normal. So it was a sign that this girl is struggling. She's stressed out. She's not going to where she should be going to. So there was something wrong, you know. And if as a parent you don't recognize something like this as quickly as they are happening and intervening as quickly as they are happening, you find out that you're having a child with behavioral issues, and then you now start struggling to deal with the behavioral issues. So it's very important to recognize these signs early. And then again, they are talking to you, and they are avoiding eye contact. Whereas it's someone that used to talk to you eye to eye, But this time around, they are avoiding eye contact. They are showing you certain facial expressions that wasn't there, unusual behaviors, academic struggle. You see a child that used to be on top of the class, and then the child is now struggling. There are some children that, like when you put them in boarding school, when you put them in boarding school, you realize that, oh, this my one smart child is now struggling academically, now taking the back class. What's happening in the boarding school? Is that child coping? You don't just ignore it as, oh, they will get over it with other children. No, it's not about they will get over it. It's a sign. What you're saying is just um, an effect of the main issue that is going on. So could it be that they are struggling with bullies in school? Could it be that they are just not coping with the environment? Is it the food they are not eating well? So you have to be aware of these changes happening in your children. And then you see some children that are responding with problems with sleep. They are now either they are sleeping more excessively, they want to be in bed all the time, or you realize that they are not even sleeping at all, they are struggling to sleep, they are becoming more irritable. Or children that they usually love to do certain things like go outside to play, but this time around they just don't want to. So these are certain signs that you can recognize that will make you wake up and try to figure out what exactly is going on here right now. So before we proceed to the next question, I have this one for Anthonia. Anthonia is a business mogul, in case you don't know, and she's really running a successful business, and wow, she's doing amazing. So the question for Anthonia is, how are you doing it as a mom and as a business owner? How are you keeping sane, and how are you keeping your child or children sane? How are you doing it? Tell us your secrets.
Okay. The first, sincerely, there's no secret, but I think the first thing I would say is there is no fixed way on how it works. It's a work in progress. You keep learning as it goes. So what I personally try to do is have a routine and have a schedule. Now, I'm not saying like military kind of schedule, like wake up at 6 a.m., 6:30, do this, but just have a guide that we follow. So basically, wake up in the morning. Obviously, when we wake up in the morning, we have to hug. So whenever, like, she's gotten so used to it that even if I wake up before her and I'm outside, when she wakes up, she's not two yet. Okay, when my daughter wakes up, she looks for me where I am to get a hug. So I think I've created that it's not a schedule, but it's like a routine. So she knows when she wakes up, she gets a hug, and then have a bath, get her ready for school, drop her off at school, and then I go to work. While working, obviously, you still have the thoughts going through your head. Okay, is she okay at school? Are you sure there's no problem? Especially when you see a call from the school and you're like, but they're like, no, you forgot to add the water bottle, or maybe or maybe you forgot to add a cutlery or something. Getting those calls are very, very dreadful because you're worried that something is happening. But it's a work in progress. I'm still learning how to handle both. I'm still learning. It's not easy, especially when you don't have like a living help or somebody assisting you. It's also good to have a supportive partner as well, someone that is willing to help you. So you just have a routine that you follow. Make sure you spend quality time. I know you have to work, but you also still need to spend quality time with your child or with your children. Words of affirmation. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know you love them. Let them love themselves as well. My child is not two yet, so she doesn't talk audibly. Obviously, she says the usual mumbo jumbo that you're trying to translate and for other people to understand. Like when she say, "Oh no, she wants water," and they're like, "What do you mean by she wants water? She didn't say water." But because you've spent time with her, you know what our signs and what our languages mean, and you're able to interpret it for other people to understand as well. So you need to create that balance that, okay, when we get home, I'm not going to be on my phone as much. It's playtime. um in as much as we get the old screen time is bad, screen time is terrible, believe me, screen time saves lives sometimes.
Yeah,
It
I
has
know.
It does.
It has saved my life a couple of times. Like when you just need to reboot, I just turn on a tab. Okay, you know what? 30 minutes, have fun, knock yourself out. Just watch Coco Melon or watch something or Miss Rachel. Okay, but you also need to create a balance on that as well and ensure that they're not too much on the screen so they don't get addicted to it. You get them educational toys. Okay, all right, we're back from home, we're back from work, we're back to the house, dinner, shower, and let's play a little before it's bedtime. And that's what's been working for me so far.
I see a lot of intentionality here. Wow,
Yeah,
a lot of
that's good.
intentionality. If not, you just be carried away with the next customer, the next client. I need to sort out their bills, wave bill their stuff.
Ah,
You know, you just get carried away with all of that, forgetting that you even have a child. And by the time you now realize it, the child will be like, you tell your child, "Hey, it's me, it's mom." The child will be like,
who are
"Mom,
you?
I'm mom." Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. It's really relatable. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then I have a
Thank
question
you.
for the audience. Before that, if you have any question, please feel free to drop in the comment section. And this question came up when Chinga was talking about child protection, and then it occurred to me that in Nigeria is not common or rather popular for us to have child protection laws or
Hmm.
agencies that are actually proactive or active, however you may want to put it. So the question for the audience is this: if there was child protection laws, like the type that they would really implement, like they do in UK or like Chinga has explained that they do in Zimbabwe, if there were child protection laws in your country, will it change how you currently parent your child?
Hmm.
So let us know in the comments, okay? Let us know in the comments. This should be really interesting. You can even answer those in the panelists. You can still let us know because here, let me tell you the truth. Someone visited me here and the person was like, if he's back home, man, what if I don't do this child? I would have lashed this child if it was back home. And then and then you now realize that why they don't flog this child that's way is actually because of the fear of child protection agencies. If
Hmm.
not, the kind of cane some people received in their lives will make them query, are you actually my parents or am I the adopted one? So let us know in the comments if there were child protection laws that were enforceable in your country or wherever you stay, will it change your parenting style? Or what would you do differently? This country, like
So,
in the UK, is really teaching us a lot of patience, and I love it.
sorry, isn't it? I just want to quickly say something before we. I just want to take us back a little bit. Sorry. So
Yeah.
I wanted to say this when Abies was speaking. Was I like everything she said, which was very practical and very real because I like real and practical. But I wanted to say something that sometimes we teach our children, but they get exposed in places where we are not. You see, like in schools, you have taught your child that this, but then the child goes to school and is picking up certain things, and you're wondering, where did that child pick it up from? So I just wanted to say that sometimes as parents we do teach our children, but sometimes they pick things from school. So that now comes into play of recognizing your child and understanding your child and see where something is off, you see, because sometimes you don't even know what is going on in schools. One day I picked up my child from school and I saw he and his friend, exchanging food from their lunch box. And I was like, so this is what you guys do at school. Because we do not know. So the other child was fascinated by what was in my child's lunchbox. And my child was also fascinated by what was in his friend's lunchbox. So sometimes these kids get different things that a child who you have properly trained gets to school, especially when you're dealing with teenagers, get to school and is fascinated by someone whose skies that you'll be surprised at the many things that these children start getting pressured into. So I just wanted to say that, just wanted to add to her that sometimes this what we do, it's okay. But just like we've all said, you have to recognize your child. The other things I also wanted to say is the reskill and upskill. As such, as for someone who is constantly reskilling and upskilling, I just wanted to say this, that it's not always easy to reskill and upskill. And as much as that is what we need to do, to continue in this economic whatever ups and downs, is that just know that sometimes it's not always easy and you're not alone. Because you know that there are so many people that are in this field. Oh, I'm trying to get into this field, and it is hard, you see. But a lot of times you feel like you're all alone in that situation. Like a lot of Nigerians have immigrated to the UK, and a lot of people are trying, like trying to get set up in another industry or another sphere, and they're struggling. And you see, but you're just on your own thinking that, oh, I'm just here, don't suffer, hey, see me, I'm alive with this. So I just wanted to say, if you're in the process of reskilling and upskilling, it's not always easy, but just be self-compassionate. One of the teachers, one of the teachers said that yesterday. Be self-compassionate to yourself. That is not always easy. So that does not really affect your own mental health, so that you're able to recognize when your child is struggling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wumi.
Isn't it? Can I just add something to that? Thank you so much, Wumi, for clarifying that. But someone mentioned something about mindset.
Hmm.
About mindset. I think it was Tomiisin that mentioned something about mindset. Great point you raised, Wumi. That is really true. But now you've spoken to that, I feel I have to add something to that when you said it is not always easy to upskill and reskill.
Yeah.
We have to know that human being, we are not an island of ourselves. Whatever contribution that I make, I always make it in a way that I've been through it. So I've been through so many transitions when I'm telling you that I have to start all over again from ground zero. So when I'm talking about reskilling and upskilling is a process that I've been through, not once, right? So what did I do? Was I discouraged? Yes, you're right. You will be discouraged. You are not alone, but you have to plug yourself in the right community. We are not an island of ourselves. You are reskilling or upskilling into a new field. It is very, very important that you do not do it in isolation. You have to plug yourself into the right community. I am so big on support system. It is very, very important that we create a support system. Like Ezine, she has a thriving olive group for professionals. Now, you can't tell me the people that are there, they are going to be struggling as the same as people that are on their own. For example, let me tell you my story. I will say it briefly. As in, I know you're already looking at me. I will tell you briefly. So I transitioned to the UK, did my degree, got a job and everything, right? Now there were different transitions that happened, but I'll cut it short. Became a teacher, but I got fed up and I had to transition again into full-time business. I transitioned at the wrong time. Why did I say that? Because 15 months or 14 months after I transitioned into full-time business, COVID struck and this is overhead. So the business was as good as not even have started. Because you and I know that within 15 months, there is nothing that you can do. Even getting into that business as well was plugging into the right community, learning from people. No need to reinvent the wheel. Learn from people that have gone ahead of you. They are there for a reason. Do not isolate yourself when you're starting all over again, even when you're in the process. So I had to start all over again, became a life coach. I have to get into mentorship. I have to get into collaboration, into liaison with other people to show me stuff the way it is done. And now I'm doing my counseling and everything. So the thing is, don't be on your own, please. Get a mentor if you have to. And mentorship does not have to be meeting the person face to face. People can mentor you through their books. They can mentor you with their videos. Ibukua Oshika is my mentor. I've never met her. Never. But I feed into her resources in such a way that if I meet her today and she's speaking to me, it will look as if I've met her before. So get mentors from a distance. Plug into the right community. I cannot say that enough. You need to be in the same sphere with people that are going in the journey that you're going, or people that have gone ahead of you. I just thought I will add that.
I really
to
like,
that
see,
Okay.
I am all, as Ezinne, I am all for real. I'm a
Yeah.
real human being. Let me tell me the way it is. You see, a lot of people, like now, Tomiisin immigrated from Nigeria to Egypt, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of reskilling for her. I'm not so sure, but there's a lot. You also immigrated to UK.
Absolutely.
You see, there's a lot, and I always feel like sometimes we say the base, but you don't know. If you had not spoken your story, I would not have understood. Like, oh, this is what has actually happened. I was just trying to make, because sometimes we get so like frustrated as a parent. Like sometimes you're like, oh, this thing is not working. I'm just here, and your child comes to you. You just like, I beg, come out. Like you just push the child away because you yourself, you're struggling internally. So I just wanted to, you just said this in passing, reskill and upskill. And I'm like, oh, but this thing is not easy. Oh. But a lot of times we don't share, like our experience. Like for Antonia, I can relate to Antonia because I'm a mom entrepreneur. You see, like I know the juggling that I juggle every day on a daily basis. And I also know the intention that I set to spend time with my kids. But sometimes we need to be able to tell these people that I have, this is what has happened to me. This is so you also know out there, people the others know that, oh, I'm not alone. The most thing that kill people in this world is I'm alone. Like when I moved to Cape Town, South Africa, and I was just like struggling, trying to raise two kids, trying to understand the system, trying to do this, trying to do that. It felt lonely. But then when you start seeing other people, do have this, then you understand, oh, I'm not, and then you keep going. And that also helps your child also. That's just what I think, Tommy, you wanted to say something.
Okay. Oh, let me add something to what you just said. So this Abyss and Wumi now, two of you brought out something I wanted to quickly, touch on. You know, it's going to concern us as parents and also concern our
It's
kids. Now, um, you talked about getting help, plugging yourself in the right community. Now, I want to talk about a special aspect of struggling children that maybe, I don't know, most of the time, I don't know how to put it now, whether it's something about, like, I don't know how to present it to people, I don't know who to ask for help. It's the aspect of children with special needs. Okay? So, this is a special aspect of struggling children and struggling parents of, children with special needs that sometimes it gets so much overwhelming that you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to. Like, I have this child that behaves in a certain way. I have the child that has this issue and all that. I don't know what to do. Like, I feel I'm alone. I feel nobody understands my issues. I feel nobody understands my struggle. But I have to still juggle it with being a mom, being a professional, being a wife, being a daughter-in-law, being so many things to different people. I mean, trust me, you're so many things to different people. You can be a wife and mom at home, but you're so many things to a whole lot of other people out there. Okay, so we're trying to juggle that with having a child with special needs, and you don't know what to do. Now, the first thing is to recognize the fact that my child has a special need. I mean, it's not your fault that your child has a special need. I mean, it's something that just comes. It's just like every other aspect of our lives. Anything can happen. Okay. But the what will make a difference between the person that understands what the issue is and how to handle it and the person that does not have a clue on what to do is how you go about it. I mean, I have a child with special needs. Okay, what do I do? Let me talk to somebody. Let me take him to see professionals or people that I think can help. Let me just call up somebody and ask the person that, or let me just go online and see what I can help. I can get things online. I can get to help me, or direction I can get to even know what to do. Okay, and then you get to the right community and you find out that, oh my goodness, I am not alone in this thing. Oh. Like, I have a lot of you have a lot of people that are going through the same. They're like, wow, are you serious? So how do you handle your child doing this at home? And the person gives you idea. How do you handle your child that is not speaking at a certain age? Like, okay, fine, this is what I do. Like,
Yeah.
they have a special therapy session and so on and so forth. Wow, so close. I didn't know. Why are you now knowing? Because you've opened up to people. So I'm talking especially to parents with children with special needs because they are also struggling parents and their children are struggling because they have special needs. I mean, and you can have children with special needs, one or two of them, and then you have normal children. So the way you relate to them and the way you relate to your normal children are going to be totally different, and it can be overwhelming
Special.
and stressful
and you're now saying, okay, fine, I've gotten a hang of this. This is how I'm going to handle this. So that in that situation you are now, you've gotten, in the light. Let me put it that way. Somehow, you are also able to. You are now in a position to even give others lights to, share from that your lights, because you can't know what will happen tomorrow. Like somebody meets you and like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, and you're like, oh, don't worry, settle down. Another struggling mom or another struggling dad, you meet the person at school run or something, and you just sparks up that conversation, or somebody go to a wedding and somebody says, like, don't worry, I was once in that situation. Sit down, let me talk to you about this thing. Do this one, two, three things. Visit one, two, three people. You might find help. So I'm trying to encourage people, parents and caregivers with special needs children. It can be overwhelming, the struggle, but there is help. Just open up, find the right resources, find the right people to help you. And I mean, you find out that you realize that once your mindset is changed, that see, I can handle this. There's nothing that, like Tomiisin said, they told us, anchor yourself. There's nothing that I'm passing through now that somebody has not passed through, and there's nothing I'm passing through now that God or whoever you anchor yourself in cannot give me the strength to, you know to pass through this thing, and still hold my head high and move around and as if nothing happened. But you're there's a whole lot in the background, but because you've gotten to that, that anchoring, and then that awareness that, okay, fine, this is how this thing is, this is how my life is, this is how I'm going to manage it, irrespective of
Thank
however
you.
other people's lives is. This is your own specific, life, and this is how you're going to manage it. It
Thank you
goes
so
a
much.
long way.
Can
Dr.
I
Oz,
say something?
Dr.
Can I
Ozo,
say something?
I'm coming, Chinga. Dr. Ozo, you know what? When we are planning this summit, this day two session, okay, one of the things that we wanted, we're actually looking for a parent that would highlight on children with special needs. So it was actually difficult to find. Even one of the ladies we found it difficult to share her story. So it's to tell you how difficult it is, how the struggle is for parents with special needs. Thank you so much for highlighting that, and also thank you so much for sharing that. All the tips that you shared, and also in addition to that, we can also say, yes, this is what has happened. So it won't be best to be comparing yourself or your family to another. If not, you continue to be in that state of dejection, feeling dejected, feeling low, feeling moody, feeling depressed. And if you're experiencing all these negative feelings, it will be really difficult to take
Yeah.
care of your child,
Mhm.
because you can't give what you don't have. And this is a child that needs to be well nurtured, regardless of what the needs is, because this child is already at risk of violence, at risk of abuse out there, at risk of stigmatization out there by the peers, by people that don't understand, especially in Africa, where we are very quick to call people names. So for your own self, start by protecting your own mind so that you can protect this child in the most optimal way. Chinga, please.
Um, Thank you. Just to say to parents who have such children, those special children, that you are doing a great job. We appreciate and acknowledge the sacrifices that you are putting in. And one of our objectives is actually to help you come up with a support system that will help you navigate the complex topic of being a parent. So I'm going to talk about one kind of special need that's not easily recognizable, which is cognitive disabilities. So you have a child who is probably struggling in school, and you end up putting a lot of pressure on your child. In my country, we see sadly cases of children as young as 8 who then commit suicide because they are failing to cope. And it's mostly to do with failing, or what we call failure in the education system, which is not proper, because we may be under pressure as parents for our children to achieve something. For instance, in my country, the pressure is for you to do very well academically. If you don't do very well academically, you are a failure as a person. So a parent will pressurize their child, especially where they themselves have done so well or where they didn't do so well. These are two extremes where you see parents putting a lot of pressure on their children, resulting in a lot of trauma for the child. Lastly, I'll talk about, I think this is a question that you asked, Ezen, around uh, the laws of child protection. And I was thinking that where we may not have those laws, sometimes we don't see them because they are couched in terms such as it's a law against sexual abuse. And we know that it's mostly children who get affected. But where we don't have them, let me just briefly explain the child protection system that we have even at international level. So internationally, we have a law that's called the Convention on the Rights of the Child, where most countries have actually signed and agreed to be bound by the laws. And every country that's represented here is part of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Underneath it, at regional level, we have the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. This is at African Union level, where most countries or all countries who are members of the African Union have also signed and done what we call ratification. This is just a way of showing that we are bound. So they are bound. And one of the things that the convention and the African Charter wants countries to do is to come up with child protection laws that are adequate for the protection of their children. So, for instance, where we don't have an overt child protection law, such as in our case, we have what we call a Children's Act. Where we don't have a Children's Act, then we are saying we are bound by the convention and we are bound by the charter. In some constitutions, you'll find there's a section solely devoted to child rights. So this is what would want to advocate for, to say all countries need to have special laws around the issues that we're talking about, around mental health, around cognitive health of children, physical health of children, and even sexual well-being of our children. Why? Because we want a global citizen tomorrow. We want a continental citizen tomorrow. We have done so much in terms of providing the necessary structures. And of course, at national level, at community level, and even at family level, there are those child protection structures that parents can actually go to.
Wow, this is actually a very big deal. Like, wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Chinga. In fact, let's start taking what the audience is saying with regards to the question about child protection laws. Joanne C says, well, personally, I think it's about rethinking and redefining discipline. It's not until you make a child have an injury or excessively flog the child that he or she will listen. Unfortunately, that this is the discipline style in most African homes. Until they have injury, that's when you stop flogging them. Why? Why? You won't kill the child. Then Lovett says, I think it will change the way Nigerian children are treated. Do you agree? Yes. Joanne again. Okay, discipline entails making a child understand the wrong they did, why it is wrong, the pain point of remaining in that wrong way, right path to follow, and the benefits he or she stands to get. This is like a master class. Thank you, Joanne, for this. Thank you. This is actually what discipline is. Thank you. And then Macy says, I believe child protection law will be of help to parenting in Nigeria because there are lots of people who believe so much in raising a child only in a violent way. There are other healthier ways. I agree with you. My mom was telling me about one woman, she went to buy something from someone's shop and the lady, I think, is it a 5-year-old child, had a 5-year-old child that didn't really, I think she was teaching the child and the child wasn't getting it, you know. Then she brought out cane and started flogging this child mercilessly. So imagine flogging a 5-year-old child mercilessly because they are not responding the way you expected them to respond, like, yeah, the way you expected them to know things as an adult. You know, that's one mistake we usually make. We forget that these children are actually kids, not mini versions of adults, but they are actually children. So child protection laws can cut down some of these things. I agree. I agree. Dr. Uzi, your fans are here.
Hi, Joma. Hi, Chinelo. Thank you.
So let's go to I had a question for Tomiisin, but that is if we have time, then I'll ask her that. Before then, let's take this question that is very important to this topic here. How can we raise mentally resilient children? This is very important in these days because the children we have these days, any little thing, the word depression is flying around. Any little thing, the word anxiety is flying around. In fact, the things I see in A&E, you see a child that already have records of anxiety and depression, anxiety and depression. Next, in fact, most adults have that record, anxiety and depression. Then you see people that are on medications, at least an antidepressant, you know. So mentally resilient children are basically children that can withstand the harsh realities of life. You know, they can withstand it before it gets to that point where they break down. That's why sometimes it seems as if we struggle. That sorry, sometimes it seems that it's difficult before we break down, before we start getting emotional breakdown and all of that, such that when we see other people talking about, oh, I'm stressed, oh, I'm depressed, we struggle to show that empathy because we don't expect them to be that. So how do we raise these mentally resilient children who can face the harsh realities of adulthood without breaking down? Anyone
Can
can
I
take
go?
it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm very passionate about this particular question because I believe that the key is enabling our children to be resilient because a resilient child will become a resilient adult, right? So I'm of the opinion as someone that is into positive, I love positive stuff, right? Using a positive psych for your child. So, for example, how is that applicable? Your child should be able to know their strengths and their weaknesses. As a parent, let your child know their strengths and their weaknesses. But please do not focus on their weaknesses. It's like knowing your as an adult, know your strength, your weaknesses, your threat, and your opportunity. But this time a child just simplify it, know their strength and their weaknesses. When you know a child's strengths and weaknesses, they will be able to know how to leverage on that. I'm just going to focus on when a child do not succeed. A lot of parents have a way of celebrating a child when they are successful. However, when they do not meet up to their academic requirements or academic expectation, as the case may be, we tend to then lay it out on them. It's not about having a child that is always having a star. It's about a child that you prepare that how can you are here? What do you need to do to get to B? You are at one stage. What do you need to get to another stage? So no, it's not about having excellence. It's about having a progression. Teaching your child that you don't know something, like I always tell my children, you don't know it yet. There is no such thing as I don't know it. Full
Yeah.
stop. You do not know it yet. Now that we know that, that is one solution. And they're like, really? Yes. At least we know what to focus on now. Now, how can I support you to enable you get to the next level? So my child, they are gymnasts. I'll use this as an example. They are gymnasts. And there is a practice, she is someone that always wants to be perfect. But I've had to explain to her, you don't need to be perfect. You only need to just make a progress. So now there's a particular skills she's been wanting to get, and she was not able to get it yet, like I told her. So she was getting frustrated. So I told her, why are you frustrating on that? Focus on what you can do. So you can do a recording or ask the class teacher to do a recording when she's having her sessions. Have her replay. We need to enable our children to be able to self-assess. So she looked at the video replay and she go, oh, maybe I should have tucked my leg in better. Maybe I moved a little bit too fast here. Now what is happening there? She's assessing herself. Even teachers, we use peer assessment in class, where the assessment is not coming from the teacher, it's coming from other of the students that are in the class. So now self-assessment, when you empower your child to learn how to self-assess, they don't need validation from people. They are not people pleasers. They become very, very independent. So she look at that video. I should have tucked my leg in more. I should have waited a little bit more before doing the flick. So what now happened? When she goes back again to another session, she knows exactly what she needs to do to be able to move on to the other stage. Now, when she move on to the other stage, she believe in herself. And another thing, learn to remind your children the things that they are good rather than the things they are not good at. So now that she has done this, if she's still struggling, I would then remind her, remember when you were trying to do your upstar, that took a little bit of time, but you did it in the end. So what am I doing there? I am strength spotting. I am strength spotting to remind her that if she was able to do this before, she can do it again. So what now happened? That will not give her the ginger that she wants. So what am I also doing? I am imputing in her that for the fact that you're not able to do something yet, you were able to conquer something before. So you still have that inside of you to be able to move on. So I've been able to do a strength spotting for her. I've been able to get her to self-evaluate. I've been able to get her to believe in her self-confidence more. And I've been able to tell her that she's not a failure. She's not able to do it yet. That is what your child needs to build on. Remind them of their past success. Catch them being good. You need to praise them and just focus. When we keep focusing on the negative, your child is not going to be resilient. Whatever you focus on magnifies. So that is just a practical way that I use. I'm going to use my mic here. Thank you, Ezine.
I was even writing. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Please
So,
carry on.
So
you
just
know,
like
I would like to say that I would like to say that for me, I made a video on YouTube recently that 5 things I wish someone told me before I became an adult. And one of the things that I wish someone told me was, our dreams and desires do not just manifest just because we want it to. Like you don't just, when we're all growing up, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be like Anthonia. You've been running, at least I knew that I was a customer of yours like 2 or 3 years ago, and you're still in the business, you see. And there's a lot of resilience in that. So what I actually wanted to say was, sometimes allow your child to be in situations where they flop, where they fail. You see, I'm not like I hate the word perfect. I hate it so much because we've been construed that, oh, it has to be perfect. I have to be good all the time. No, once your child is in a situation, for instance, something like what Abis just said. My child was building some Lego yesterday. He was trying to build a race car, which he actually did. But then after building the race car, then he was trying to build the covering of the car, using Legos. And he kept doing it and he kept breaking. And he was so frustrated. And in my mind, I was happy because I was smiling, even though I could sense the frustration. Because I know that the more he grows older, you see, the more he's going to encounter certain things that I cannot protect him from. There are certain things as parents, we cannot protect our children from everything. You're not always going to be there. Thank you. So you're not always going to be. Mommy's in the meeting, okay? I'm coming. Thank you so much. So you're not always going to be there to protect your children. So sometimes we have to let them be in certain situations that frustrate them. And then that's where Abyss now comes into now saying, oh, you can strengthen yourself this way. So I had to remind him yesterday and said, he said, but I'm trying and I'm trying, and I'll now tell you what I said to him. I said, take a break. You don't have to continue doing. You've been trying. Take a break. Go and do something else. When you are relaxed, then you can have ideas on how to do it again. You see, that's me. Because sometimes they're like, oh, do it again. I teach my children to do it again. But then sometimes they're like, take it, go, get away from that situation. That's also building resilience. Because I'm telling you, as our children are growing up, there are certain things that will happen that you will not always be there. Or like one time that I, like Antonia said, like sometimes you get these calls from schools and you're like, one time they called me and said, oh, my child, someone hit him in his eyes and he had a very small. When they showed me the picture, hey, I was like, oh, I'm coming to the school right away. And I did. By the time I got to the school, the child was perfectly fine. He was already doing other things because I always remind my child this thing. My child, I always remind him, never let anyone make anything or anyone make you feel sad for a long time. It's something that I always ingrained in him. That's resiliency. Like he knows it often. If you recite it, never let anyone or anything make me feel sad for a long time. So when someone they were playing on the trampoline, someone uses accidentally hit his leg. He could have sat there and sat and sulking and crying and crying. But because I have ingrained in my child that nothing or no one or no situation should make you feel sad, and I always remind him emotions are good. Feeling sad is good. So you feel it, but then you get up again. By the time I ran to this school, he was already doing other stuff with his friend, like, Mom, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, I'm just here to check on you. You see, that's resilience. So, in essence, what I'm just trying to say is that we cannot always protect our children. Sometimes we should let them be in situations that frustrate them. The goal is to tell them, get up again, take a break, get up again, take a break. And then you got, and this is not, it has nothing to do with it, it's just a situation. One key thing that I learned recently in my business is the fact that never take anything personal. That's one thing I have learned, and that's another way of raising a resilient child. Sometimes when I go out to make deals, sometimes some work in my favor, sometimes some twist me, stretch me, and I'm learning to realize that it's not personal. That's another thing. When you take something personal, then that's where depression start coming. That's anxiety start coming in. So you teach your children never take anything personal. It's just a thing. It's just like us parents. Never let mom guilt happen. Mom guilt will always happen, but you don't take it personal. You cannot always be 100% with your child. There are times you scream at your child, but don't take it personal. Learn the lesson and move on. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Is that I just heard cartoon song at the background. Okay,
Okay.
maybe it's just my ears. Thank you so much for that, Mumi. I learned, so never let anyone or anything make you feel sad for a long time. This is now our own nursery rhyme. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
Tomiisin.
Yeah, I just really want to appreciate Dr. Ezine and Rumi for this summit because we need to keep having discussions and conversations like this because I feel like um this generation, we want to raise resilient children, but our lifestyle is not actually supporting raising resilient children. Some of us have this slogan that we say we don't want our children to suffer what we suffered, or we don't want our children to do this because we don't want our children to go through what we went through. But the truth is that some of those things that we went through are actually the things that built resilience in us and made us who we are today. So, like Wumi said, we can't always protect our children from everything. So allow them to fail, allow them to experience those things. Some of those things are what has built you to be who you are today. So let's talk. Let's keep having these conversations. I just want to encourage Dr. Ezine that please organize more summits like this for us. Let's keep having conversations like this so that parents can learn that children can be resilient, and it's not just by saying it but also by allowing them to experience life, allowing them to experience the things that we also experience so that it can also build resilience in them. Thank you.
Thank you
Can
Okay.
so
I
much.
add something?
Okay, sorry. Okay. Go ahead,
Please.
Antonia.
Yeah, sorry, before you continue, still on what Tomiisin said, that says some of us are like, no, my child will not experience the same thing that my child will not experience the same thing I experienced. This is so true. And an example is this. Let me say your child is playing and then they are about to fall. As an overzealous mom, you run. Oh, don't fall. Allow them fall. Let them get up. Let them fall, cry and get up. They will become stronger because you are not going to be there all the time to catch them. Will you be there when they are falling in school, or you wait for them to call you from school? Ah, my child has fallen. Let them fall, clean their legs and get up. Let them now come to you and say, okay, sorry, this is what you can do next time so that you don't fall like that and harm yourself. They will
But
learn and
there's a kind of fall that they want to fall. You have to rush you.
no, no, you know the type of fall I'm talking about.
I'm just kidding.
Not fall from building, I beg. I beg. Carry on, Antonia.
Okay, all right. So what I wanted to say was first, we need to understand that they are kids. Sometimes it's hard, and you expect them to reason the way you reason as an adult. I think that's one of the reasons you made an example of somebody beating a 5-year-old because the child couldn't understand. Is that frustration, especially when you're trying to teach a kid math? 1 plus 1 is 2. What don't you understand about that? But you've gone through that process already. You know 1 plus 1 is 2. They need to go through that process to understand that 1 plus 1 is 2. And also you need to teach them to encourage themselves. That is the only way that they won't end up being people pleasers when they grow up. I had that problem. It's just now I'm trying to break out of it, where you're always expecting somebody to tell you, good job, you did good, you did amazing. But you should be able to do that for yourself. So you should be able to teach your child that, oh, okay, how do you feel about this that you just did? Do you feel good? I'm not saying you shouldn't tell your kid good job or you did great or you're amazing, but they should be able to tell themselves, I did good. Oh my God, this is so good. So they are not always expecting somebody to tell them they've done something great or they've done something good. If not, they will always expect that. And when they don't get it, they feel that they haven't met up to a particular standard or they've not done enough. That's just what I wanted to add.
That's very
Wow.
good.
You know,
Okay.
this
Very good.
reminds me of Abby's.
Yeah.
There was a podcast Abby's shared with me. This was what she talked about, where you don't just keep telling your child, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. Let them be the ones that are proud of themselves. They should be proud of themselves, not you always telling them, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. This one struck a nerve to me right now, Antonia. Thank you. I think I need to
Okay,
change.
so
God
so
help
so
me.
so let me just add to what you just said about being the person that is always telling our kids, this, you did well, you did well, you did well. So also getting them to appreciate themselves matters, just like Antonia just said, because in the world today, just like this our social media world now is about who sees what I did, who saw my new dress, who saw my new shoe, who saw that I've changed my hairstyle, who saw that my child is now driving bicycle or who does not have car and all that. And people are now getting so much into that they forget that there are some things that are really priorities, like, okay, fine, this is me, this is what I do, this is me, because I am me. I cannot be
Come on.
Antonia, I cannot be Tomiisin, I cannot be Ezinne. This is me, and because it's me, I am a unique human being. We try to tell our children, even ourselves, because it begins everything about our children. Trying to raise them to be resilient begins with us parents. They even need to see us being resilient. When certain adversities happen, when maybe I lost my job and the way I behave in that situation, or maybe I failed an exam, the way I behave or the way I, do things going forward, changed, and they're like, Mom has changed, or something happened. This is because she failed the exam and all that. And they pick it up. Those small things. And at the end of the day, when things now happen to them, they'll be like, after all, Mom, you acted like that. Let me act like that too. I mean, that's it. They've picked that one, and it's a negative, okay? But that doesn't mean that we are humans. I'm not saying that we should be perfect. Like somebody said, Mumi said, being perfect is not, is we are all work in progress. Okay, so you tell the child that, okay, fine, your classmates, you're always telling me about this, your classmate that you want to be like because the person is good in maths and you're not so good in maths. But you know that you're also good in playing piano. Does your classmates know how to play piano?
Hmm.
No. Now, this is your strength. You can play piano and you have average understanding of maths. That's your average strength. Now, your classmate is always scoring A plus in maths, but he cannot play the piano. So that is his own unique um unique style as a human being. So, but when we get to you know teach our children these things about themselves, they are self-satisfied. They are like, this is me being unique, this is me being me, this is this other person being this other person. At the end of the day, you're not expecting somebody to say, okay, if I don't get that 100 likes from people, or if I don't get that thumbs up from people, then it means I didn't do anything right. No, I did this thing good and it's good because it's good. So I appreciate myself for it. And it also stems from what we do as parents. Like when we do some things right, when we get something like I celebrate, like I celebrate the small wins. Okay, if this person has done this, oh wow, hey, I've done this also. You people should, my children, come and celebrate with me. I did this small thing. I was able to succeed in this small thing. And they get used to that fact of you celebrating your small wins. And then those are the things that will now help them when they grow up, as teenagers or as adults in the long run, to be that resilient. And when things happen, things like adverse situations happen, they are like, okay, I saw my parents having this fighting spirit, and I also need to keep up with that fighting spirit because this is what kept them going. In a world of today where there's a lot of struggle out there, you need to be that person, that strong person in your mind, where you now pass this on onto your children, that they now say, okay, fine. Looking back at what my parents did in so and so and so situation, I have to pick on that because it helps them, and I can see it helped them positively. Thank you.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Uzi. Wow. I picked up really, really important stuff you just shared now. And in addition to that, no, not in addition. For the audience, if you have any questions, because we are rounding up now, this session is meant to end at 6 o'clock. So we are going to take the remaining minutes to answer your questions. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm really pleading that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I'll just have to let you know that the goal of subscribing to our YouTube channel is so that the summit can be self-funded. I know that some of you saw this summit via ads, and all those things were paid. All the things that are going on now, they were all paid for, right? But you're getting all the information for free. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we also encourage you to share with others so that they can watch, be empowered, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that this channel can self-fund the summit subsequently, because the more money we have, the more the reach, the more the society is improved, because you can learn all the things you're learning now, and then there is a parent out there that doesn't know better and has trained the child in a certain way. They will now go and spoil everything that you've taught your child in school. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you. So if you have any question, please can we cheer the men in the house, please? Yay!
Hooray!
We see you all. We recognize you, and
Well done, well done, well done.
Thank you for joining us.
while we are waiting for your questions, Tomiisin, there has been so many things going around. Immigration. It's been flying around since this conversation started, and this is especially for you, because
Okay.
all of us are going to UK, US, Canada, Australia, but it's Egypt you are in. So me saying, how are you doing it? Like how?
Wow.
Parenting, I don't know, far from family, unless your family is there in Egypt. Like, if it's UK, okay, we can say, yeah, you see blacks around. How are you doing it?
Okay, thank you. People get to ask me a lot because, just like you said, they ask, people are going to UK, Canada, US. How come Egypt? Like, what is going on? Okay, so I moved to Egypt because My husband got a job here, and we had to leave. He came first, then eventually I had to join him, and I had to resign from my job in Nigeria to come. So just like Wumi said, it's been a lot of reskilling and upskilling. In fact, there was a time when I came, like maybe like 3 months or 4 months when I got here. I was having thoughts that, or should I run away? Like, what's all this? Like, new culture, new everything. The official language here is Arabic, so you can't even communicate. You have to, sometimes you are behaving like a deaf. It's a lot, it's a lot. But and another thing that also made it difficult was that I got pregnant like almost immediately I came. So dealing with the weather, dealing with pregnancy, and I've been pregnant like back to back since I got to Egypt. So it's been a lot. But uh just like we have been talking about, finding communities is very important. Mm. One of the things that has really helped me is finding a support system. There is a friend that I have here that has been here, long before I came, and she God has really used her for me. I always go to her and talk to her about everything that is going on. Like, why is this happening? What is going on here? Like, so many things I talk to her, and she's able to like onboard me. Like, when I came, she showed me around, took me to the market. So there's you can't do it without having a support system. Is very, very important, like that support system. And also in church as well, it took me a long time before I found a church, but eventually I did. And having a support system in the church as well, sharing ideas. There's also a community for spouses of where my husband works. So that's another community. So I have like support system. I also have a living help. So I have support systems everywhere. Although I didn't get a living help immediately I got here, it was just me alone for some time. But I eventually was able to get a living help. So support system everywhere, in every area of every area of life. I also connect a lot with Nigeria. I connect a lot, church, my communities back home. I always try to connect with them as well. I don't, live in isolation. I think that's one of the things that affects so many people. Like, when you're in a new environment, you just be on your own. No, I don't live in isolation. I share my ideas with my friends. I share how I'm feeling with my husband, with my family. This is what is going on here. you know if there's any community, I remember there was a time I put it out there that is there any community. That was when I was looking for a church. So I was like, is there any like diasporan community for, that was before all this live YouTube live started and all of that. So I was looking for a community for moms, a community for immigrants in Egypt. So many things, that so many communities that have helped me to be able to, you know um, um maintain a good mental well-being, maintain my sanity. Very, very important. So number one, community. And like I said, as well, anchoring myself in God, knowing that there's a purpose for which I'm in this place at the moment, and the purpose will be fulfilled. And also, just just enjoying myself, and just not just enjoying the journey, enjoying the journey, and knowing that this is just for a while. I know that I'm not going to be here forever. At some point I will either go back home or move to another country. So it's a phase of my life. And I just continually encourage myself and find community. So that's it
Thank
for me.
you. Thank you so much for that. This is a lesson for all of us that are migrating to different places. Just find support system. If not, it can be really, really lonely. If not, depression will just be your second name. It can be really, really. Thank you so much for that. So, someone have a question. Chinelo says, "How do you teach a toddler that screaming and throwing tantrums is not the right method to get what they want?" This is really educative. I'm enjoying it. So, anyone can answer this question.
Okay. All right. So, what I would say first is it's not easy because they really cannot communicate properly with you. So, screaming and shouting is like their main method of communication. But you, as a parent, you need to stand your ground and not give in. I know it's hard. Let's assume the child wants to watch cartoon and you say, okay, you know what, in 5 more minutes, we're turning it off. And then you turn it off, and the child is screaming and throwing tantrums. Do not turn the cartoon back on because you're only teaching them that when they scream and shout, they get what they want. It is hard. It is difficult to see your child in that position. At some point, you'll start crying. I've been in that position. Oh yeah, let's all of us be crying together. Do you get? But but you cannot give in all the time. You are the adult. You need to act as it. You are the role model. Your child is emulating what you're doing. So at times, just stand your ground and find a distraction. Get them a toy. If you have those leapfrog toys or like all those toys that talks or the storybook that sings, try and distract them or just take them outside, let fresh air touch them small, or just do something to distract them. Children have short attention span, like they get distracted easily. So when they're doing that, try to redirect them to do something else. That's my own take on this.
Look at
So
you answering
can
like
I
an
quickly add
expert.
something to what you just said? Okay, so toddlers screaming and throwing tantrums. I mean, it's the trademark. This particular scenario is the trademark of toddler everywhere. So, so it's not like it's a new thing. So once you have a toddler, just be prepared. And another thing, another way you can manage this situation is to get to know yourself as a parent that children have different age groups and different phases and what you expect from them at different ages. So if I know that I have a toddler and I expect them to throw tantrums and scream at, in fact, as often as they can, it also helps me to calm myself down to be able to now say, okay, fine, this, come, let's talk about this thing, or come, let me carry you. Just like Antonia said, create boundaries, set boundaries, because setting boundaries, these children also understand. Don't mind that they're small, oh. They all understand boundaries very well. If you as a parent set it and stand by it, just like you said, okay, we are doing this in so and so time, and then that thing of sequence that you just said, giving that time, like, I'm going to do this in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to do this in the next 1 minute, okay, let me give you 1 more minute to do this. That sequencing also helps them to understand the fact that it's not that you don't want them to watch TV, or you don't want them to eat biscuit or something, but there's a reason why you have to balance it. You have to create that balance. Okay, so do this at so and so time or so and so time, and then they go off. You're already expecting that they're going to throw the tantrum, so it's not like it's going to be a shock to you. So you're already expecting it. So because you're already expecting it, you now know how to handle it. Like you said, do something else, divert their attention, and all that. And another thing is, for a toddler that screams and throws tantrums all the time, you also, as a parent, need to also find out the reason behind it. Just like the story Ezinne said about somebody, throwing tantrums all the time, and then you realize that it was the child minder that that situation that aggravated all those kind of behaviors. Maybe your child wasn't this doing that before, or wasn't doing it as excessive as that before. So also know that, okay, what is the problem, what is causing this, let me know how to now handle it. Okay, so setting that boundaries also helps, and then showing that empathy also. Like, as a parent, I understand you like biscuits, no problem, we'll eat it the same time tomorrow, but not today. So that's fine.
Yeah, I have something very interesting. Try out screaming them. If they are screaming, do it better than the child. Um, it's a joke. But every child will, I think you just need to understand your child and see what works for them. For some children, they respond to a shout. For them, for others, they don't. My child, when she was 2, she would throw tantrums and bang doors. So one day I just lost it and I locked her inside that room where she had banged the door. And that's when it stopped. It then just stopped.
Yeah. I think another thing, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, you can.
Okay, okay, yes. I think another thing is just like we've talked about setting boundaries. I think it's the first thing is setting the boundaries first and creating systems. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. Creating systems and routines, just like Antonia had said. You know, you're giving a child this is hard. I know we already agree now, right now, that parenting is hard work. It's hard work. Yeah. So, like you give a child a tab for the first time, you're already telling the child, okay, you get to watch your cartoon maybe during this time of the day, maybe from 8 to 8:30. That's the time. Don't give the child the tab first and allow the child to watch it, you know, for a very long time, and then you now start to create the boundaries. I think creating the boundaries from the beginning before you creating the system from the beginning before you start creating the boundaries is very important. You know, once they know from the get-go, that's why it's always hard, you know. Sometimes they're already used to a particular thing, they're already used to a particular system, then you come with a boundary and you say no, you can't do this. The child will fight back, and that's why all these tantrums and all of that. So from the get-go, create that system in your home, like the sleeping time, the eating time. Children thrive on routines, that's the truth. Sleeping time, eating time, reading time, snack time, very very important. Very hard to do, but it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you
So,
so
isn't
much.
can I just add something to it?
Sure.
Something that I've noticed is that when parents work together, it makes it easier when things like this are happening. Because something I've noticed from my children, sometimes I will just use my children, is when they know they behave in certain way, daddy will give in because they are girls. Girls have a way of wrapping their dad around their little fingers. Then the boys, their moms. That is the belief, the general conception, anyways. But you have to agree. So we then agree that if they behave in certain way, whether to you, the dad, or to mom, you are going to respond the same way. You have to work in unity so that when mommy is there, they behave in certain way, they scream and mommy give in, but dad does not give in. So what that means, they will show you Pepe. So when mommy is around, is the time we can scream. And when daddy is around, we behave ourselves. So like everyone has mentioned, that structure has to be consistent. So do you have a child minder? If that child should scream, then they are not going to get that thing they want because that is demanding. Because we seem to bring up our children in this entitlement. They will throw a certain behavior, we will give in, and then it becomes a part of them which we can no longer deal with as they are getting older. So whether you leave your child with a childminder, they need to understand that when they scream, when they do certain things, do not allow them get away with it. They need to know, let them calm down before they will get what it is that they wanted. If they are with dad, the same thing. If they are with grandma, grandparents are another one that they can easily wrap around their fingers. So tell that grandma, grandpa, when they scream, they will not get that yogurt that they are screaming for until they stop screaming. So if they realize that when I stop screaming, the adults will listen. They will realize yes, someone said it before that children are very intelligent. It is true. They are so clever. We do not give them enough credits. So if you realize there is a pattern, how you deal with it, you need to feed it all to all the adults that are responsible for them, whether occasionally or always. The grandparents, the dad, the mom, everybody should sing from the same hymn book. And you realize that they're like, okay, I can't get away with screaming, so I need to leave that. It might take a bit of a time, processes, but it does work if everybody sing from the same page. Thought I would just drop that.
Wow, thank you so much for that. This is very, very important. You can't be doing one thing and another person is just spoiling everything you're doing. You're trying to limit screen time, and then your partner is like, take the phone, don't show mommy, take the phone, go and hide. It's like they are spoiling your work.
Okay, so let me say something quickly. Say something about raising adolescents. I mean, it's in adolescents are like mini adults. Like they feel they've arrived. Like they know everything now. That's their phase. And then sometimes we don't know how to handle them because maybe we don't know better as parents. I mean, there's no parenting book or guide. I mean, everybody just jumps in and then you learn on the job as a parent, and that's where getting knowledge and getting information on how to handle certain situations is very good. Let me give you an instance. Your teenage girl or boy wants to go out in the evening, and you're like, um, once it's 6:30, there's a coffee in the house. Once it's 6:30, be in the house, and that's it. That's final. And you don't open that communication. You don't open that discussion of, mom, dad, why should I be here by 6:30? Frank's door is open till 10 p.m. I mean, what's wrong with that and all that? And you're telling me 6:30. I mean, that's when the fun starts. Actually, it's from 7. That's when the fun starts. And but when you sit your child down and discuss, these are the reasons why I don't want you outside by so and so time. I mean, it helps them to understand instead of saying that's 6:30, 6:30 you're home and that's fine now and that's it. One, it will make your adolescent child, go off you, and then get answers from those people outside that he feels that they understand. These are the people that understand me. I mean, my mom is old fashioned, or my dad is old fashioned, he's older, and he doesn't understand what I'm feeling, doesn't understand that, I mean, this party is going to be lit and everything, and he's telling me 6:30 I should be home. But when you now sit down and have those discussions and say, these are the things that can go wrong when you're out from 6:30 or 7 and above. And then they understand with you that these are the things that could go wrong, or these are the reasons why I am telling you as your mom or as your dad to try not to stay out late, because I mean there's so many things that could happen in the evening and all that. And they get to understand from by themselves firsthand that this is the reason why I shouldn't go out by so and so time. Or maybe you're trying to tell your child, or your adolescent child, or child that, or maybe a young school leaver, that smoking is not something that you should engage in. Because why, mom? Because I said so, and that's fine now. I mean, why are you asking me too many questions? I mean, what's that? I said it's bad, it's bad. So let's end it here. Don't do it. Full stop. That's not. We might have, sometimes the African parents in us will just spring up and then will now go off in that way, and then we don't want to have that discussion. But it's a learning process, like I said. Parenting is an ongoing project that we learn on the go. So sitting them down and saying, these are the reasons why smoking is bad. Come, let's first bring the computer, bring that your computer, bring that your tablet, Google it. Let's find out the answers. Two of us, let's just have this discussion and find out the answers. And by the time this child now gets to know from the first hand why you don't want, these things to happen, or why you don't want him to engage in certain behavior or something, they now say, my mom did not say I should stop smoking. I am my mom or I am my dad sat down and read through the reasons why smoking is bad. Now I know the reason why smoking is bad for me, not because my parents said so. So that, will I say, approach is a whole lot different, and that also helps the child in so many other aspects, that he will find himself, especially when that peer pressure comes and like, why are you acting the way you're acting? You're Jew man, Jew babe, just do this and do that. You don't even know what's going on and all that. So don't worry, it's not because I have information. In fact, your child is now in a position to even educate other peers that this is the reason why this thing should be done, and this is the reason why this thing should not be done. Not because I don't know, mommy said so, and that's it. They call it mommy's boy, and then the child will run off and go and all that. And then you find out that you even start to get withdrawn because the other peers will now be calling mommy's boy, mommy said so. They will now nickname will not be because mommy said so. Because mommy said so. What else can you tell us? But when you make your child understand firsthand the reasons why those things are positives and negatives, demerits and merits from their own perspective as children, give them in the language they understand as children, it makes a whole lot of difference.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Uzo. It's very important to give them, to make them understand why, and not just giving orders like military people. Thank you so much for that. Before we take the last question, please, I plead with you, just search for us on Google, Stress Management Summit Africa. While you're still here, search on Google, Stress Management Summit Africa, and give us a review. We will really, really appreciate that. We're not asking you for money, we're not asking for anything, just give us a review. We will really, really appreciate that. And if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Remember, I told you it's just for it to self-fund the summit so that we can be able to show up next time and gather experts to teach. Okay, I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Do it for whoever you want to do it for. You can do it for me too. Thank you. So, Joanne, this is the last question. Okay, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah. I've just noticed that we've talked a lot of behavioral stuff when it comes to stress of children. We've not really touched on education. I know a lot of children are preparing for exams and all of that stuff. I just want to quickly drop it out there. If you are a parent in this group and you have a child that is going to write any exam and all of that stuff, do you know that that can be a sort of stress to them? Knowing that they are going to write exam is enough stress alone. I'm just going to urge all parents and beg, please do not stress your children based on just their grades alone. We've seen a lot of children using Malagati behavior, drinking loads of coffee, maybe start drinking bit by bit or smoking or doing all sort of things that you would not even know that they are using to cope with this behavior. So I'm just going to urge all parents out there because I've got I've got exam here. So this is just keep coming back to me. Do not be so focused on the grade and don't wait until the last minute before you support them. If you want to give them a tuition support, start on time. And also, let's be realistic. The fact that you, mom or dad, you are a star student doesn't mean your child is going to be a star student. Your child could be a C student. It's the progress that matter. Parents, please, educational pressure, you might think, oh, I'm just encouraging her to be the best. I'm just encouraging him to be the best. We sometimes push our children into undue stress without even knowing it, or in the name of, I want you to be the best. Let's be very, very careful about how we pressurize our children when it comes to education, when it comes to studying and all of this stuff. Rate them or support them according to their level and then try and support them to get to the next stage. They don't necessarily have to have that fly in the sea. There are some children, they are naturally gifted at certain subjects more than another. Let's just make sure that we take this into consideration when we are assessing our children. I just thought I would drop that there because I know a lot of students, they go through too much stress that their parents are not even aware of. The school, the teachers pick up the pieces in terms of mood swing and destruction in class. Thank you.
Thank you so much for highlighting that, Abies. Thank you so much. And then this is a final question we'll take, and then we'll call it an evening, and then we'll wrap up the Stress Management Summit for the year 2023. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay. From what age can you practically assess a child's mental health?
I would say from the beginning. From the beginning, it's just the age group of a child determines. You see, like how once a child is born, just like I was explaining yesterday in my teaching, that the mental health is just brain health. How is your child adapting? So I think it's just the age group and paying attention to your child, and like all we've rightly said is that's how you know what's off in your child, what's not off in your child. So your child's mental health is there from the very beginning. You're just trying to figure out, oh, what's wrong, what's not wrong, what's wrong, what's not wrong. Before my child was 2 years old, I could sense a difference. He just didn't want to go to the class anymore. He enjoyed school, and all of a sudden, you drop him in school, he doesn't want to get into the class. He cries, 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 cries. So we started trying to figure out what's wrong. And this is a child that he has not clocked two yet. It was just one plus. What's happening? And I started to realize, oh, the other kids is level that he was playing with had moved to the next class, and they haven't moved him yet to the next class. So I had to really pay the attention to my child, and then have a sitting with the head of the school and say, see, this child is no longer happy in this class. What's happening? And this is a child that's just 1 year plus. So it's just making sure that you're aware of your child every single time. We will not always be 100 with our children. Let's just get that on the table. That's not possible with this life that we're all always working towards. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, it's still impossible for you to be 100% of your child. But I always say that 100%, give yourself like, okay, 70%. I want to be present with my children. That's how you are able to know the differences when your child is off and that. So basically, mental health is just physical health. It's like your child is given birth, they have physical health. The same with that physical health, your child has mental health.
Thank you so much
So
for that.
Can I say something?
let me add, just like Bumi said, health is, I mean, according to the definition of health, we all know that health is not just merely the absence of disease or infirmities. It's about your physical health, it's about your mental health, it's about your social well-being. I mean, so when we say I have a healthy child, I have a healthy child because he doesn't have fever, he doesn't have cough, he doesn't have a broken leg. But what is going on here? Like me said, the brain health. What's up with the child's brain health? And at what age did I start noticing what I'm noticing? Because I mean, when you try, we are saying assess a child's mental health. There are a variety of different types of mental health disorders that children can face. For you to be able to recognize a particular trait or a particular thing, you as a parent also need to be knowledgeable, or even need to give in to asking questions and opening up and saying, I'm noticing this, so how do I handle it? What do I call it? Like, children can have anxiety from a very early age of even 6 months. You might be saying, how will a child of 6 months have anxiety? That's something you call separation anxiety. Maybe at 6 months, and 6, 7, 8 months, that's when the mother stops breastfeed, doing exclusive, and she has to go to work, and maybe in that the new nanny comes in, and there's something about something you call separation anxiety that happens to your child. I mean, and start exhibiting all sorts of things, crying excessively, doing all sorts of things, maybe even biting and all those things. And for you to be able to recognize that, that's even the first step to maybe assessing this further. Or is this something I need to handle at home? Or is it something I need to go to the professional to assess? Then other things like attention deficit disorders and conduct disorders that children, just preteens and adolescents, they just want to destroy things. Like, they just want to break the rule, like intentionally break the rule. These are mental health disorders that you as a parent need to even pick. And then when you pick it, what do? You either assess yourself or do the therapy yourself, or do something, change of something that can help that child, or you seek professional help. Don't forget, we don't know it all. Ask. Let's normalize asking for help. Normalize asking for help. I mean, it saves a whole lot. It saves you from so many things when you normalize asking for help, and asking for help on time. Okay, so another thing is, you want to assess your child's mental well-being, and then you notice that your child is doesn't like writing, or doesn't like, he's not picking up, in fact, the way his age group is supposed to be, or her age group is supposed to be. So there's something may be wrong, or maybe his speech is not developing the way it's supposed to develop. Something is wrong somewhere, or the behavior doesn't like staying on his own, doesn't like interacting with people. And at certain point in time, when you now pick those things, you can now go seek professional help. Like, there are child therapists or pediatricians. You can go to and find a way to find. You can now do the normal assessment for that child and find, okay, this is what this child has, and this is how we're going to go about it. Thank you.
Sorry, someone's background is a bit noisy. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Uzo. Thank you so much. I think we should just round off now. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone that has been on this panel session, and it's been really, really insightful, educative, interactive, transformative. Thank you all so much. You all have been so, so amazing, giving practical lessons, relatable stuff. Someone says, I think this summit has met a lot of needs. Thanks so much for the insightful session. Please, your certificate be issued to participants. Unfortunately, no, because oh my God, imagine issuing certificates to about 1,000 people. Please, unfortunately, no. And you can appreciate the panelists in the comments. If the summit has met your needs, if this summit was really helpful, if you learned anything, please let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. While we are waiting for your messages, for your feedback, please, I encourage you, subscribe to our channel. Give us a review on the Google page. It will mean a lot to us, okay? It will mean a lot to us. There was a lot of funding, planning, praying that went into this event that you're receiving for free at this moment. And we are really, really grateful to God that it has come this far and has really, really gone far in transforming lives, including myself. Thank you all so much for all your support, the speakers, the amazing team of volunteers. You all deserve a special shout out, including Dr. Uzo, Abies, Wumi, the co-host. Thank you all so much. You all have been really, really amazing. The speakers that didn't ask me for money, because where will I get money from to be paying all of you? Because you all deserve a lot of pay, but you all chose to show up and deliver excellently, not mediocre way, excellently, to really, really give value to every one of us. So I really appreciate every one of you. Okay, you can also follow us on our social media pages, and if you want to learn more about stress management, I have a course, my stress management course as an adult. This one is no longer for children, because we've emphasized that for you to be able to help your child, you need to start by helping yourself. All right. So if you want to learn more about stress management, I'm just going to put up the link to you for you to get the course if you are interested. Oh my goodness. Please forgive me. But okay. Okay, I'm just going to put it in the comment section. Feel free to get it. If you are interested, the course is going at a massive discount just for tonight. If you're interested, please click on the link. Instead of, how much was that? I think it's about 7,500 naira. That's about $12 or so instead of $50. So if you're interested, pre-order it. In 2 weeks, you're going to get it and have access to it and start managing your stress like a pro. Distressing, managing chronic stress, preventing your stress, understanding stress, as in everything about stress is all packaged there. You don't need to be sourcing YouTube pages or Googling how to make stress work for you, how to deal with that headache. Everything is all packaged in this course. If you open it, you see everything detailed in there. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate every single one of you. And because this is about stress management and mental well-being, as a way of saying thank you and as a way of saying bye-bye, I just felt we should do just a little exercise like stretching our bodies. And I'm actually talking about playing music so that I can dance and be happy. So what's your favorite music? Let's play it right now. I have my music right. I have my tab. I have my music box with me here now. So tell me, somebody
DJ Ezinne. This one is DJ Ezinne
right
now.
What's your favorite music? I'm going to put it here so that everybody will dance and be happy. Tell me, oh.
What kind of music do you have?
And a gospel, no novels.
Do you have anything from Gloria? I love her music.
Is it danceable?
Some of them are. Or even the one from Natana Basi and Messi Shinwer. You know, what's her name again?
Messi
Shinwo, that's the one. Yeah. That was it's a very danceable one now.
So everybody here is a Christian. Everyone on the panel session now. Because we need to consider everyone.
Was Chinga raising her hand before? I think
I'm a
she
Christian.
wanted to say something.
Hey, Chinga. Okay, everyone. Aha. So you mentioned Nathaniel Bassing. I think this one.
Okay.
You can't stand.
Oh, I can sing your song.
My God.
Because God has really helped us. Hey.
How my helper.
I'm going to dance for you.
Go for it.
Hey. I'm preparing with my dancing shoes. My dancing slippers.
I hope you have your hanky. I hope you have your hanky. It's a dance. You dance with a white hanky.
Where's my hanky?
Isn't it? I think we could end this and then have the back of the panelist so we could let people go. And then we can
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. It's been awesome. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Anthonia, it's good to have all of you.